I feel like a lot of producers these days, or a lot of guys that is new to this shit, they think that this is some fast way to eat. It really isn't. It's like, if you're really trying to eat fast, like this is not the job you need to be doing. You know what I mean? You need to love this. You need to love the fuck out of this shit in order to, because you're gonna have to invest hours and hours of free work in order to get the paid work. You know what I mean?
1, 2, yeah. Come on. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, sir, you are tuned in. This is for the SB1200, ASR 10s and NPC heroes. This is for the crate digging, loop getting, sound manipulators, the Fruity Loop reasoning machine innovators that pump the bass and frequently freak the kick in a stand till it slaps in your speakers. The sound providers that make sure the song is tight. Shout out to the producers, beats grinding live. Shout out to the producers, beats grinding life.
Welcome to the Beats Grinding Life podcast with your host Siren, a weekly interview podcast with inspiring music producers, where every week you will learn from a different music producer how to potentially take your music career to the next level.
Today's episode of Beats Grinding Life is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audio download and 30-day free trial at beatsbooks.com. Over 180,000 titles to choose from on your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Some recommended readings by past Beats Grinding Life guests like 48 Laws of Power, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Secret, Tools of Titans, and The Song Machine are all available with Audible. Once again, go to beatsbooks.com to get your free book. What's up, Beat Grinders? This is another episode of Beats Grinding Life. I'm your host, Siren Beats, and with us today we got Beat Butcha.
Yes. What's up, guys?
All right, Beat Grinders. Beat Butcha is a well-rounded producer out of the United Kingdom. The Spread of Infection crew member is as versatile as they come. His impressive credit resume includes Rick Ross, Big Boi of Outkast, Jadakiss, Dave East, Neo, Nipsey Hussle, Styles P, the late Sean Price, and many more. He is also well known for his best-selling drum and sound kits that he has released. Right now, you can pick up his latest drum kit, Dangerous Fireworks, exclusively on drumbroker.com. All right, B Butcher, man. Like I said, man, thank you for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it too, man. Appreciate you reaching out to me.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. Okay, man. Well, I just read a brief intro on you, man. If you can just fill in the blanks and let the listeners know a little bit more about you, man, that'd be great.
All right. Well, yeah. So, as you said, I'm from the United Kingdom. I also grew up part of my life in the Netherlands, roughly about half an hour away from Amsterdam, and also London in the UK. Spent probably the first half of my career. So I've been making music for 10 years. First 10 years of my what am I talking about? 10 years, 20 years.
Okay.
First 10 years of my career, I basically predominantly worked with UK acts like Jest, Kalashnikov, Roots Maneuver, Plan B, them kind of people. Get. And then probably the last 10 years of my career, as you said, I worked with a lot of American rappers, predominantly rappers. The last things that I did were I was on the Rick Ross album, last Rick Ross album, last Big Boi album. I've worked with Mobb Deep, Sean Price, G-Unit, a bunch of people, Jadakiss, Styles,
nice.
Ton of people.
Man. Well, that's what's up, man. I mean, you know what? I'm a fan of your music. You know, that's what what I predominantly listen to is kind of that grimy East Coast flavor, man. But what I like about you is that you are, like I said earlier, you are versatile. You can do that, but then you can also flip something for a Neo, you know what I mean, or do something for a Rick Ross, and that's what I appreciate from you, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, in the last probably 10 years or something, I've gone more into the sort of sample free stuff. So I work with a lot of different other producers as well. So usually when you're hearing stuff that isn't like on that super grimy shit, it's usually producing with other people, you know, like being the sample creator, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like posing the samples for people to flip and stuff like that, you know. So
yeah, man. Well, that's dope, man. You know that you can go from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other, you know. So.
Well, you know, like. I don't want to sound like an old fogey, but you know, I'm 36, and like it would be a bit boring to just do the same thing over and over again.
That's for sure, man. I'm sure you perfected your craft, you know, and like as far as like the boom bap goes, and then you know, I mean, you got to keep challenging yourself as this thing goes on, right?
I mean, I still, you know, I still love the boom bap stuff, but you know, it's you know, there's lots of, you know, that you want to keep challenging yourself creatively and you know, like you just want to, you know, I'm working on stuff that isn't hip hop at the moment as well, which I won't mention what yet, but definitely things that are of a sort of larger nature that I'm trying to get to. So
okay, well we'll definitely be on the lookout.
I'm trying to challenge myself.
Yeah, man.
Sorry?
I said we'll have to definitely be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely.
Okay, well that's what's up, man. Real quick, I just want to know, was there a transition between you making beats for UK artists and then coming to America and making beats for American artists? Was there any kind of did you have to?
Yeah, there was. I mean, it was a gradual process. You know, a few things happened that made me very disillusioned with the UK scene, and basically. Long story short, but I you know, I just decided to, because I always, like, people always used to say that my beats sounded like they would fit Americans a lot better than they would fit the UK stuff. So it was kind of something that I always wanted to strive for too, because I you know, I listened to predominantly American stuff. You know, I was very heavily influenced by, you know, people like Mob and D Block and G Unit. Before that, obviously, all the 90s stuff like Wu-Tang, you know, as I mentioned, Mob again, but like, you know, Primo, Pete Rock or whatever. You know, so yeah, I mean, to answer your question, yeah, I mean, it all started probably 2008. I had a couple of beefs in the UK with a few rappers that basically just made me feel like, all right, cool, well, I you know, screw this, let me focus on doing some stuff in the States. So then I started basically, this is like the MySpace era. I started sending beats around on MySpace, and I started meeting, I know a lot of people in the UK who put on shows and stuff, and you know, I would give people beat CDs when they would come to do shows in the UK, and then follow up with them on email. And I basically started doing these trips, you know. Started off like 2 trips a year, and then sometimes it'd be 3 trips a year, and then eventually, you know, it was more. Eventually, it would be more than that, and then now I've got my green card, and I currently reside in LA. So, you know, you know, it's gradual. You know what I mean? Gradual, but by any means, you know, by any means, you know what I mean?
Necessary, so. Yeah, for sure, man. Okay, well that's what's up, man. Shroom said, you know, you know, the way he got out and made a name for himself in the States, you know, was just by going to shows and shows in his homeland, and you know, just connecting that way, sending beats out as well. The same kind of applies for you as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it started, you know, started off predominantly exactly that, you know, like going to shows, trying to meet people, you know, give beat CDs out, and then, you know, obviously we were in the MySpace era. That was like probably the first era where like you could get in contact with people that you were listening to. So you know, I would reach out to people and ask them for their beat emails and stuff, and I collected a lot of emails in that time. And I had quite a lot of followers at the time, you know, and so it, you know, I had a little buzz in you know, amongst a certain group of people, and then you know, I just networked my way out. So I'd find out who was like, you know, an affiliate. Then it was pretty easy to do some detective work on MySpace to figure out who like was an affiliate of who. And you know, I would try and find like somebody who was, you know, I try and find people that were like affiliates of like people I wanted to work with,
Right.
and then I would like, befriend them and send them beats and try and do stuff with them in the hope that they would then be, you know, would then somehow get me to whoever I was trying to work with. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I did that for the, you know, the G Unit camps and the Mobb Deep camps. You know, to the point where when I first got introduced to Prodigy, pretty much all of the all of the dudes that was in the studio, like, was like, "Oh, you're Beat Butcher? Oh shit, yo, I got some tracks with you," or whatever.
Nice.
You know? So, you know, the same thing. It's funny because it's like, you know, it's when you get in with those, when you get in with people, you realize how small like those circles are. You know what I mean? Like, it's really like, you know, people are way more connected than you thought. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. So when you first met up with Prodigy, did he just get out of jail?
Yeah. So when I first met P, it was 2011. I'd done a pretty much like 70% of a tape for Tony Yayo that was called El Chapo.
Okay.
And at the time, well, basically Yayo recorded a song with Mobb Deep for that tape. That wasn't my beats, but he'd given Prodigy basically like the whole tape to listen to, and Prodigy was basically like working out to like 2 of my tracks. He really liked this one track, Long Piece, and he liked the other track, Perception Is Everything.
Okay.
So you know, he'd been putting the word out to other people that we need to work and stuff, and
Nice.
I happened to have like a really drunken night with my boy James one night in and he was like throwing up, and I took him back to his in a cab, and when I took him back to his in the cab, I left my passport and my wallet in the cab. So this is a weird story, but so the following day I'm super like pissed off. I've got no money. There's some free event in Brooklyn. I'm spending my last $5 to get there.
Was it the Brooklyn Hip Hop Fest?
Yeah. No, it wasn't the Brooklyn Hip Hop Fest. It was something. It was in Prospect Park.
Okay.
I forget what it was called, but I know Smith and Wesson were playing. Raekwon was playing. It was a free thing, but yeah. So I bumped into my boy Lord Nez there, who I hadn't seen for about 2 years, and he was like, "Yo, Prodigy's been asking about you. You wanna go to the Infamous Studios?" And I was like, "Bro, I got no money. Like, well, how am we gonna get there?" He's like, "Yo, don't worry about that, man. Oh, I got you. Whatever you need. I got my EBT card with me as well. Like, you know, like if you need." So we went down there. You know what I mean? Like, we got a ride down there. You know, like fucking yeah. It was, you know, it was a pretty crazy experience, obviously. But yes. But you know, and like first four joints that I played in, he recorded. You know what I mean?
Wow, nice. That's dope, man.
It is. It's pretty crazy because the thing is, like I said, the whole people being linked up. You know, I didn't realize how many people that I already knew were linked up to the camp as well. Like I was doing some stuff with this guy in Rochester called Lil Ito. He's got like a project out at the moment with V-Don, and he's working with DJ Muggs and shit. But we was doing a bunch of stuff together like 10 years ago, like around that time anyway. And yeah, I didn't know that like a bunch of people that he knew like a bunch of people in Peace Circle. He wasn't like directly connected to Pete, but like he knew some of the other people that were there. So it's like when I was there, it was like, oh shit, yeah, you know my boy E in Rochester, and yo, do you know my boy like blah blah blah, you know, like Sean Perry, who was like Sean Price. He's like cool with Sean Price as well, who was also connected to Prodigy. So it was like, you know, it's kind of crazy, like.
Sure is, man. But you know what I took from your story, and what, you know, Beat Grinders, what you guys should take from the story as well, is that, you know, when you said you were on MySpace and you were you know, hitting people up, you weren't like directly going after people, but you were also trying to find the people that were affiliated with them, you know. And that's something that Shroom said as well. You know, how he hooked up with Ghostface is he gave Ghostface's hype man a beat CD, and then that reached Ghostface, and that's how he got that placement with them. So, you know, it's not always about going after the guy that you have your sights on, but, you know, just the people around him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, look at I believe I saw Murder Beats said some shit about that's how he linked up with Migos as well. Like he got in contact with like people that were related. They were like you know, affiliated with Migos and stuff, and then you know what, like a few weeks later he was in Atlanta working with Migos.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So you know, like that's definitely how things work. You know, you can't be, there's no real shortcuts, you know what I'm saying? Like that you have to put the work in, and you have to build those, and it's a labor of love, man. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of producers these days, or a lot of guys that's new to this shit, they think that you know, this is some fast way to eat. It really isn't. It's like if you're really trying to eat fast, like this is not the job you need to be doing. You know what I mean? You need to love it. You need to love the fuck out of this shit in order to, you know, because you're gonna have to invest hours and hours of free work in order to get the paid work. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like. Because it's funny because, you know, like I don't want to put anybody on blast, but you know, it's funny because I feel like there are people selling this dream a little bit, and I feel like no, it's not really completely honest. You know what I mean? Like it's not as glamorous as people think it is. I mean, and that's not to say that I'm not. You know, I'm living okay now, you know what I'm saying? But shit, bro, I've definitely had quite a few years of like struggling to get to the point where I'm even like, you know, doing decent, you know what I mean?
So, that's
nowhere near like, you know, big you know what I mean? I'm nowhere near on like some, you know, Jake One level or somewhere like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, not yet, man. Not yet. So well, that's what's up, man. Well, you know, here on Beats Grinding Life, man, we always want to know, you know, like how you started out, because, you know, there's guys that are listening now, you know, speaking of, you know, you just talked about, you know, how you weren't, you know, living large or whatever, you know, quote unquote, you know, and how you had to struggle. But I want to know, man, what made you get into music production? What made you want to start this labor of love?
I mean, you know, first and foremost, obviously, I was a massive fan of music in general. You know what I mean? Not just hip hop, but you know, obviously, hip hop captivated my heart at a young age. You know what I mean? I'd say probably when I really was like got really into it was probably about 12. I was probably about 12, something like that, or like maybe 11. And you know, it's like I've always had I've always been somebody who, like, you know, if I like something, I want to figure out how to do things, you know what I mean? So obviously you write your little raps, and you know you loop your beats up using you know, pause tapes and stuff, but eventually I basically moved into I decided to start DJing. Nice. And as I started, because I was collecting records already, I was always like fascinated. I always just used to just listen to instrumentals all the time, man. Like the beats always really captivated me, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And you know, I started to notice that, like, at a certain point, I started to kind of notice like that some of the, you know, like my parents had some of the records that, you know, people were sampling and stuff. So, you know, I you know, and I was like DJing for different, like, I was DJing for like some local rappers at the time, and like, you know, it was just like, okay, cool. Well, this is the natural progression. I'm a DJ is just the DJ. I want to make the beats as well. Right. So, you know, the first bit of equipment I ever had was a really shit computer for the time. I can't remember exactly how much memory it had, but I want to say it had about 200 megabytes of memory.
Oh man,
it was like nothing.
Right.
It was so slow, and somebody gave me a demo of Cool Edit 96.
Nice.
So my first beats were basically like mix paste waves. So I would be in view on a Cool Edit 96, and I would record stuff in off of my turntables, and then I would like mix paste things over things to a point where like I got pretty good at like without any grid or anything, I could make like drum beats that sounded like they were coming out of a drum machine, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. How did you do your drums in Cool Edit Pro? Were you using break beats? Were you recording break beats into there or what?
Well, yeah, it was a cross between a few things. Like, so this is the way that I figured out like how to like make like you know, stuff that was on like drum patterns that were on beat is I used to like record like my favorite instrumentals in, right? And then I used to like filter all of the fucking. I used to filter all of the toes out, and then I used to use those hi-hats as a template to like paste things, and then I would like. So then after that, after I'd like pasted like a hi-hat pattern, then it was easy to put like, you know, kicks and snares or whatever over the top of that.
Nice.
Do you know what I mean? And obviously, like you said, if you had break beats, that was easy to do like that too. Obviously, that's a super roundabout way to make beats. You know what I mean? Like that's not really, like an ideal way, but because I was using like that program to make beats for like. I came up with some like really weird ways of like making beats. So, you know, eventually I figured out that there was a multi-track view on there. And then I could basically I didn't have to go through all of that shit. So
right.
I just ended up, you know, still again not to the grid. Like I'd use something as a template, you know, like maybe the sample. I'd use a sample as a template, or maybe like you know, a hi-hat pattern or something as a template, and then like chop to that, and you know what I mean,
right?
Filter things, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But eventually I got in 2000 I got an MPC 2000.
Nice.
But by that time I'd already been making beats for 2 years, and I was so used to using Cool Edit that I actually never really super got into it. I ended up making a few beats on it, but they never would sound as like beefy.
What you wanted them to sound.
Exactly. They would sound too quantized for me because I was so used to the swingy sound of the you know of Cool Edit.
Yeah.
Because it was so like, you know, it had its own sound.
Right.
And it was thick, and it was, you know, like, so I basically ended up just using. Eventually, that turned into Audition. I ended up using Audition until 2012. Wow. I mean, no, I started making beats on Ableton with Grands and Buddha in 2009.
Nice.
But I didn't have Ableton myself until 2012.
Wow.
So like all my first beats, they were all like basically like when I started to learn how to play, I would like record. It was all a jam, you know what I'm saying? So I would just like I would just record. There was no tick in either. There was no, so I'd have to start playing on the one.
Oh man!
So with like, I'd have to have the first chord ready in my head,
right?
And I'd be like already voicing it when I pressed.
When you press record, wow.
Press record, exactly. But because of that, I got pretty good at like improvising.
Nice.
I got pretty good at like at performing on that. So you know. It definitely developed a strange style, but it kind of worked for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So,
well, you know, I mean, one thing that I've noticed over the years is, you know, limitations definitely help you. I mean, you know, they're always looked at as setbacks, but, you know, just being limited, it expands your imagination, you know, and it makes you try to figure out, okay, how can I get this done the way I want it to sound, you know, with just a little bit that I have, you know? So, you know, maybe that Cool Edit, just having the Cool Edit Pro and you being not being able to do everything that you wanted to do, you know, maybe it expanded your skills a little more in the long run, maybe, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing I liked about it was just it was you know, super hands-on. It was almost like using hardware in a weird way, like it because everything is destructive. Everything on Cool Edit is destructive. So like you go into the single waveform view, and you EQ it, and it stays like that. Right. I mean, obviously, you have to, you know what I mean? You can undo it, but once you've decided to that's what it sounds like, that's how it has to sound.
Yeah.
So it makes you a little bit more decisive about what you don't. When you've got too many options, sometimes you become indecisive and you want to do like 17 different options. Yeah. So that was the problem I first had when I started working on Ableton. Mm-hmm. Was like, wow, now I can do everything I always dreamed of, but now I couldn't think of I couldn't agree with myself on which version of a track I want, so I'd have like 17 versions of a track, different drums, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Man. Yeah, I definitely know what you mean, man. Yeah, sometimes too many options is not a good thing, but we all want it. We all want as many options as possible, but you could definitely just spend hours just going through drum sounds trying to find the perfect one,
Yeah. And sometimes, a lot of the time, it's just about feel, man. I think sometimes you lose feel in overthinking options and stuff, and the most important thing is the feel. Like this is music, like when you're playing it for somebody else, like you want them to feel it. Like if they don't feel it, it's all good. You can have the greatest samples, you can have the greatest, or you got the greatest sounds, the greatest drums, whatever. But if people don't feel it, then it's pointless.
Yep, true.
You know what I mean?
Right, definitely, man. Okay, man. Well, I'm just surprised. I'm surprised that you've used software almost your entire career. For some reason, I just assumed, especially with your age, not to harp on how old you are, but I just assumed that maybe you had started off with hardware. Did you say that you Did you say you got the MPC, but you just it didn't work for you?
Yeah, I had a 2000. I made some beats on the 2000, but and also I have used hardware in the past, but it's always been just it's never just been the software by itself. I mean, the hardware by itself. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's always been with other shit. Like I had a 2500 probably about whenever they came out. I think it was 2007 when they first came out, or 2006.
Okay.
I bought a 2500 and I made a bunch of beats on that, but then I'd find the limitations in that, so I would then track them out, Cool Edit, or actually Audition at the time, and then I'd want to add extra stuff. I'm definitely a hardware guy in some ways, like in terms of instruments, synths, that kind of stuff, but in terms of like the actual sequencing, I'm definitely a software guy.
Okay, nice, man. That makes sense. All right, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, you did talk about some of the American producers that inspired you. You said No, I'm not sure if you said P-Rock, but you did say Premier for sure. Who were some of the other American producers that inspired you, and then who were some of the producers in Europe that inspired you?
I mean, it depends what era we're talking about, but I grew up, my formative years of like my young years in hip hop was like probably 93 until 98. Those are the years before I really started producing, and the people that I looked up to then that made me want to produce is like RZA, Primo, Havoc, Large Pro, Pete Rock.
Nice.
The usual suspects, bro. Right. Like everybody always has the same list. I feel like DXP, obviously, so like Showbiz and Diamond D and Buckwild. Nice. But I was definitely a massive Wu-Tang and Mobb Deep fan. So like, I don't, RZA and Havoc were probably like my main influences. And then when I really kind of realized like how people were making music or making beats, that's when I was really into like Premiere, because I was DJing and chopping up samples into little fragments and doing scratch hooks and So I was definitely heavily influenced by Premiere as well, you know what I mean? But then later on, like when I actually started producing, the era had kind of changed, you know what I mean? It switched up, and the sound was kind of changing. So, I was definitely influenced by like, Alchemist, Dilla, Just Blaze. In the UK, there's a guy called Harry Love who he produced a lot of like the UK tracks that I liked at the time. You know, like with Kalashnikov, Jest. Jest is also a really great producer. And of course, like, you know, other, you know, European producers that I can think of, you know, like Tommy T was dope. You know, Boulevard Connection. So, like, you know, because around that time, you know, I was kind of like, it was the Fat Beats era, the 12s and all that kind of shit, and it was kind of in that. There was like that divide. There was like the jiggy shit, and then there was that, you know. And but I definitely was somebody who liked all sorts of stuff. So I was kind of like, you know, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. So
okay.
I mean, I definitely was hot on the Queensbridge and the Rockefeller kind of shit at one point too.
Nice, yeah, man.
You know, Just Blaze and Kanye and all that.
Okay. Well, that's what's up, man. Well, I know, like, you definitely gave me, you know, some homework to do, because a lot of the producers from the UK and in Europe, you know, I don't know many of them. So, I mean.
Hold on. I got another UK one.
Okay.
I forgot. Lewis Parker. Lewis Parker was definitely.
Nice.
He was one of the. He was. I don't know if you know about Massive Attack, but they were a big group.
I've heard the name. I've never heard their music though.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that they were definitely, you know, like he was signed to them, and he was fire too. He was like, you know, he was on Virgin and stuff, and
wow.
Yeah, he ended up working with Ghostface and a bunch of people in New York actually.
Damn.
Later on.
What's his name again?
Lewis Parker.
Lewis Parker.
He did Shaky Dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm definitely gonna have to check him out and look him up, man. Sounds like I mean, he sounds like he got some heat. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was in the 90s. He was kind of, you know, bringing you know, he's kind of bringing that kind of Beat Miners ish kind of sound.
Nice.
I mean, he had his own vibe with it, but he was like flipping easy listening records and like making fucking heavy ass beats on them and rapping on them.
Nice.
Rapping.
Okay.
It's weird. It's funny because actually I went to school with his sister.
Really?
And I didn't actually realize that was his sister. my friend ended up moving in with them in New York, and I was like, I swear I know this girl from somewhere.
That's crazy. Small world, man. Small world.
Absolutely.
That's
crazy.
nuts. All right, man. Well, earlier you talked about how, you know, this production thing is viewed as glamorous, you know, but it really isn't, you know. And so here on Beats, Grind, and Life, man, that's what we like. We like to talk about the gritty side, the grind, you know, the less glamorous parts of music production. So I want to ask you, man, what is a major setback or failure that you've had in your career that you can tell us about, so maybe we can avoid the pitfalls and learn from you?
I mean, I don't know whether you'd be able to avoid it. I just think, I feel like anybody's path comes with you know, setbacks and things that are demotivating, or, you know, maybe people trying to take advantage of you, or you know, because essentially, you know, there's no handbook, there's no rules. This is like one industry that doesn't. There's no you know, there's no like you know, there's nobody to stick up for you if you know, because there's no laws, basically. No one
policing the
exactly.
policing the guys out to get you. You
exactly
know?
No real rules or regulations. So people and it's a place where people are desperate, and you know, some of the people that you might even be fans of are some very desperate individuals, you know what I mean? So I don't know if there's really anything you can avoid, but you know, I definitely had a couple of situations where I'm not going to name any names because I don't think that's fair. You know, who knows? Like, you know, I mean, you know, maybe they do deserve to be named, but I'm not really on that. But yeah, you know,
we respect that, man.
Exactly. There's been times where there's definitely been one time in specific where a well-known producer who had nothing to do with me getting a placement, or basically wanted to get co-production on something. And you know, this person was big in the 90s, you know what I mean? And you know, it wasn't particularly like, it was one of these things, was like, it wouldn't, if he's not added anything to the beat, he had nothing to do with it.
Right. Getting
on a project, like, what exactly, you know what I mean? What am I getting from this? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not the 90s, like, where this guy was big.
Right.
So like, you know, he was just trying to piggyback. I don't know. I guess maybe he just thought that, you know, like, but you know, that's one of the, that really at the time was kind of like a
wake up call.
Well, it wasn't just a wake up call. It was like, you know, it was a highly demotivating thing to happen. And you know, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I really felt at the time. It's weird. I'm generally, I've been on a kind of like a path where I'm not you know, I'm trying to like, you know, just trying to be a nice person and all that type of shit. But it really definitely made me question whether or not I wanted to, you know, bug out. Right. But you know, obviously you think about these things and you think, nah, this probably not a good idea. And you know what I mean? Like, you just got to take, everybody has these things in their path, and you just got to put your foot down and say, nah, it's not happening. So yeah, and I did put my foot down and it didn't happen. So, you know, that, you know, thank God for that. And then there's a few other things like that too, where I'm a well-known rapper, sold some beats of mine to some people, and you know, like, then told me he sold the beats, and like the idea was that he was going to take a certain amount, and he basically never gave me the money, and then gave the guys who he sold the beats to my number, and told them that he'd given me the money. So did some super grimy shit. Wow. But thankfully, those guys were nice enough to compensate me again and pay more money out of their own pocket. So you know, to this day I'm cool with those guys. You know what I mean?
That's crazy, man. I mean, I'm sure, you know, the producer in the 90s, I'm pretty sure you were a fan of his at one point, you know, and maybe the rapper, obviously you felt the rapper's vibe in his music, you know, for you to give beats to him. But you know, that is kind of discouraging, man, you know, and it kind of makes you question things as well, you know.
Yeah, the situation with the well-known rapper, I mean, it is what it is. It's like, you know, I don't know hard feelings or whatever, but you know, I think, that's it. It was at a time as well when I had like a lot of things going on in my personal life, and you know, these people, when they knew, well, at least one of them knew that like, they were pretty desperate for me. And like, yeah, I just thought it was a bit cruel. It's a bit cruel, you know what I mean, to be doing that kind of shit to people, knowing where their heads at. So what I mean, like, and they've obviously, I did it with that guy as well. So you know, that's basically what, you know, I'm sure they had their own come up and stuff, you know what I mean, and so like, you know, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna, you know, I don't hold grudges.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, I do know, you know, and I mean, you know, like they say, you know, you know you made it in the music industry. You know that's part of the initiation is when you get dicked over. You know, pause. But you know when certain situations like that happen, it's like, you know, welcome to the music industry. You know, but yeah, then that.
Well, you know, there's you know, there's a very opportunistic mind state that a lot of people have, and they you know, people prey on other people's ignorance, and people, you know, I even see it now, like, you know, people ask questions as tests, you know, when you first meet them, I you know, to see to scope how much you know about certain things, you know, it's a and there's definitely a thing of like, you know, the game is to be sold and not to be told, so that there, you know, there's if people really think that you're one of those people that doesn't see past the smoke and mirrors yet, then they'll try and sell you the dream no matter, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not saying everyone's like that, but I definitely, there are a lot of people from the old side of things, you know what I mean? Are still relatively like that sometimes, you know?
Right. Yeah, man. I definitely hear what you're saying, man. Wow, man. Well,
but you know, I got to say the one thing that really that made me more aware of like how things really operate is I went to the one-stop shop that Sha Money XL did, and he did these conferences in Arizona back in the late 2000s, and the one-stop shop opened my eyes to see like what it was really like. You know, previous to that, I still had mentality of, you know, like, oh well, you make your beats and then somebody will discover you and this and that,
right?
Which is not how it works. You know what I mean? That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Nobody discovers you. You have to get out there and meet people and, you know, like build relationships with people, work on your craft at the same time as working on your network and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, you have to understand the mentality behind, you know, what makes people tick in terms of like, you can't be like cold emailing people, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
You can't be looking up emails. I mean, it works here and there, but it's like 1 in a million, not 1 in a million, but like in 1,000 that might work, you know what I mean?
Right, yep.
Like, I want to work with, I don't know, Jay-Z. You find a fucking Jay-Z email, send beats to Jay-Z. You know, it's not gonna happen for you like that. You know what I mean? You have to build relationships with people. So, you know, like, I was kind of prepared for a lot of this kind of stuff, those things to happen, but I didn't really think that they were gonna happen to me when I was that low. But you know, then you showed, you know, it shows where people's hearts at, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And you know, even shows my love for it, you know what I mean? Like the fact that I still decided to keep working.
Right. Yeah.
And thankfully now I don't have those problems at all, really, you know what I mean? So
wow. Well, that's dope, man. That's dope. You know, yeah, I guess it's all part of the, you know, come up stage, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I'd say there's always, you know, you're always coming up, but you know, like,
yeah, that's true.
Even once you've got placements, and even if you have a plaque and stuff, there's still things come up off of. You know what I mean? There's very few people that aren't still kind of coming up on the production level. You know what I mean? Like, there's, you know, like there's people that establish names, but then at the same time, it's like even certain people that establish names, there's always something bigger that they could be doing.
Yep. Yeah. Jermaine Dupri said he's definitely not on the level he wants to be on yet. So, I mean, and that's Jermaine Dupri. So.
Yeah, I mean, Jermaine Dupri's been around for years, and he's had hits, and worked with the biggest. You know what I mean? So.
Okay. All right, man. Well, what we want to know the opposite of that, man. What's the greatest moment that you've had in your career thus far?
I mean, I don't really have one specific one. You know what I mean? Like, I think the biggest placement I've had is probably the Rick Ross record. I got something that trumps that's even bigger that's coming, but I won't mention what. But
okay.
I'm excited about that though, because that, you know, that's going to be the level up.
Yeah.
But you know, probably prior to this personal moment, I already touched on it. I think probably the meeting with P for the first time, that was very, you know, for me, being such a massive Mobb Deep fan.
Right.
So,
especially,
you know,
happening in that fashion too. You know, the way that it happened.
Yeah, exactly. It's a, you know, it's a story I won't ever forget. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Like, you know, I feel like my greatest achievements are yet to come.
Nice. Well, that's cool, man. It keeps you something to keep chasing, you know, and keep running towards. So that's what's up, man. I think that's a great answer.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Okay, man. Well, here on Beats Grinding Life, man, we're all the beat grinders listening, even including myself, we're all striving for greatness, man. And, you know, one way to achieve greatness is to look at the ones that are doing it and model yourselves after them. So we want to know, man, what do you do in a typical day? So that way maybe we can structure our day around what you're doing and achieve greatness just like you are.
I mean, it really varies. I recently moved to LA, like probably about 6 months ago, and you know, it really varies. So I previous to this last year, you know, it probably was wake up, you know, grab something to eat, watch some stuff on YouTube, you know, like related to music, right. You know, like, and just try and inspire myself, you know what I mean? And then, you know, start working on some music at some point. But at this point, like, the way it is, you know, every day is different. I do a lot of sessions with different producers, doing a lot of sessions with different, with rappers, with singers and stuff. So yeah, every day is different, man. Every day is different, but every day I make music, so
nice.
I feel blessed. I'm blessed to do that, you know?
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure, definitely, man. Well, that's what's up, man. All right, man. Well, this next portion of the interview, man, we like to call In the Studio, man. We want to know what goes on in your studio, how you do it, and what you do it with. So, man, to start it off, man, we want to know, what do you do before you start crafting beats? Do you have a set ritual or anything? Do you, you know, do you like to spark up? Do you like to, you know, turn on certain lights to set the mood? What do you do when you first get in that studio?
I don't really have one set thing. I mean, I people that know me know that I'm a drinker.
Okay.
So, you know, I do like a drink. I'm not gonna lie. It's maybe not every day, every day, but you know. But if I'm really particularly feeling an inspired mood, you know, I'll probably, you know, get a couple beers or like, you know, like crack a bottle of Hennessy or something, and
okay,
you know, like mess around.
What kind of beer are you drinking in LA?
I mean, you know, just some regular shit, Modelo or you know, like Corona or something like that.
Okay, no craft beer or anything.
Well, I mean, you know, I never really got into all the IPAs and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, man. They make me feel a bit like they give me a headache for some reason. I don't know.
I can definitely understand that, man.
I mean, you know, it really depends. I'm definitely more of a liquor person than a beer person, but okay. It really depends. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't really have one set thing, but that, you know, I definitely like a drink when I'm making music. It makes me feel hype. You know, it gets me like in my zone a little bit.
Dope.
You know, I like to, I definitely like to listen to music before I make music. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm waking up in the morning and I'm like, and I'm feeling like particularly like I want to try and make some shit at home, what I'll do is I'll probably put some music on while I'm like cooking something to eat, you know, for breakfast, or like, you know, I'll scroll through like YouTube and try and find stuff that inspires me, you know what I mean? And you know, I'll pull up a VST or pull up the guitar, or like maybe play on the roads, or you know, I'll just play around with something till I find a sound that I like. And then, you know, I try not to overthink too much. I just try to go with whatever my feeling is right then, and then, you know, take it from there, because you can overthink. I think that's a massive problem that a lot of musicians, I think, have, is like, you know, they're searching for the best take or the best break or the best, I don't know, whatever, you know what I mean? They're trying to, you know, they'll be searching forever for that thing. Like we said a minute ago, like with a, you know, there is no best. It's about how you feel right then, you know what I mean?
Right.
And the idea is that you know, you put down whatever, you know, you're putting down a moment in time forever on you know, in a track. So, you know,
yeah, I feel like that's where I run into the most problems myself, is when I like have set in my mind I want to make a track like this, instead of, you know, I learned, you know, I make my best music when I just go with the flow. When I don't have an idea of what I want to make, I just make whatever comes out, you know. That's when the best tracks happen for me. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I do definitely have sometimes moments where I think, oh yeah, I want to make some stuff like that.
Right.
But the weird thing is, like those beats never come out sounding like that.
Right.
When they do when you do get them in my opinion anyway, I always just start with an idea and I'm like, yo, it would be dope if I did something like, you know, like I'll listen to like a Brazilian record, like some João Donato or like, you know, Low Borges or something, and then hear like a little bit and I'll be like, yo, imagine if I like the way those instruments work together there, and imagine if I like made some chords that were like a little bit like that, right. But then I hit somewhere else and did some other shit, you know what I mean? And right. But whenever I start like that, it just ends up being something completely different, which, you know, it's cool, you know what I mean? Because who wants to sound, you know, you don't want to sound exactly like.
Yep, not always a bad thing.
No, exactly.
So, okay, man. Well, what's a not so secret weapon that you got in that studio?
I mean, I'm sure people that have my sound packs probably know that I use the Space Echo to death. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I literally pretty much every sound I put through that. You know what I mean? Originally I was using the guitar rig version of the Space Echo, the Tape Echo, but I recently bought the real thing. Oh, I actually had the guitar pedal version for a bit.
Okay.
It's a little bit different, but I actually bought the real thing recently, like the actual unit. Nice. Which is beautiful, man. But it's not really a secret, you know what I mean? It's you know, you can hear that I use a tape delay on everything, so, you know.
Nice. All right, man. So what else do you got up in there? What's all in your toolbox? What's in your arsenal? What are you using to make music with?
Well, I have a lot of different things. I haven't moved them all over to the States yet. Actually, that's what I'm doing right now. Is I just went to my storage to get my guitar and get some of my pedals and to ship over my desktop computer.
Nice.
But yeah, at the moment I'm running a 2018 MacBook Pro, Ableton, bunch of VSTs. I have a Duet. I have a Fender Rhodes, a Mark 1. I have a 6-string bass. I have various effects pedals. Obviously, the Space Echo.
Nice.
I have a Epiphone ES335 semi acoustic guitar. I have a Korg controller, and I'm currently using these little fucking what they're called, man, iLoud speakers by IK Multimedia. Because I wasn't able to take my other monitors, which are the KRK VXT6s, to my place yet. So
well, I hear good things about the iLoud.
For what they are, man, they're amazing. And I've had a noise complaint already at my apartment, and from those.
That's crazy, and they're small as fuck too, right?
Yeah, they're really small. Yeah. So, but
crazy.
They're cool, man. They're cool because you can set up like a little setup in the. You know, I do a lot of traveling, and you can set them up in a hotel room, and you're making music to, you know, at a good level. And I have a Farfisa super partner as well in my storage, which I'm trying to figure out whether or not I'm going to bring it. You know.
Yeah. Oh, man. That sounds like a lot to play with right there, man. Beat Grinders, if there's anything that Beat Butcha mentioned that perk your interest, you guys definitely go to the website under his show notes, and I'll definitely provide links so you guys can do your research and check all that out. So thank you, man. All right, man. Well, this next portion, man, is called In the Mix, man. We're just gonna speed things up a little bit. I'm just gonna ask you some quick questions. It's kind of like rapid fire, so I'm gonna ask you some quick questions. You give me a quick response, but if you need to take your time on the questions, man, we definitely appreciate it. So,
okay.
All right, man. Do you prefer making beats with samples or without?
No samples. Yeah, sample free.
Sample free. All right. What's your opinion on selling and releasing beats online?
I mean, I don't knock anyone else doing it. I've definitely sold beats before, but I try not to kind of sell or lease beats these days. I work on a fee basis or whatever. And basically I'm don't really want my name attached to anything I'm not really fucking with these days. And you know, if people are hitting me up to buy beats, you know, I'm kind of at a point where I'm trying to like increase my stock value, you know what I mean? And I feel like the more accessible you are, the more your stock value decreases. But of course, that's the liberty I have now,
right?
Knowing the people that I know, and you know, having a good network of people that you know can get me in some major places, you know what I mean?
Nice.
And having relationships with people, you know, people who are kind of on the more on the desirable end of people I want to work with, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like it all stems from, you know, the relationships, you know, and so that's what's up, man. You know, that's what I was gonna say too is, you know, you probably value working with the artist, you know, and as well, and that goes along with building relationships as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and I feel like the whole selling beats thing, it can often be like a bit of a waste of music. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because a lot of the time, you know, when people refer to the whole thing of selling beats, you know, people are talking about usually like, you know, independent artists who are putting music out themselves, like, because when you're talking about placements and stuff, you're not actually talking about selling beats. You're getting advances and you're getting production fees, you know what I mean? So
right.
It's a different thing, you know what I mean?
Yep, for sure, man. Okay. Well, what's a plugin that you think every producer should have in their arsenal?
I mean, I don't really know, man. I'm definitely somebody who is more of the stance of like it's about the person, not about what you use.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really think of one plugin that everybody should use. I mean, I can tell you a couple of plugins that I use in pretty much everything. You know, Guitar Rig, and Contacts. Now, I put Guitar Rig on everything. Not even, doesn't have to just be. Guitar. You know, it's no secret anymore, but you know, like, you know, you can use it on anything.
Right.
Use it on synths, you can use it on anything, man.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. They have some great effects up on there, man. So.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Okay. All right, man. Well, what's a book that you think every producer should read? And it doesn't have to be music related, but it can be.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. This is made me sound like a complete dummy, but I really read books.
Hey, you know what? Hey, that we get that answer so much on here. You know what I mean? So no, that's no problem, man. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. I guess one I'll recommend is probably, let's see, Everything You Need to Know About the Music Industry. So by Donald Passman. So I'll just throw that out there for the beat grinders. All right. Is there an internet resource that you use that you think every producer could benefit from? When I say internet resource, I mean a website or a mobile app.
I mean, I use YouTube a lot.
Nice.
For I mean, you know, it's a pretty obvious thing to say, but I use YouTube a lot in terms of like, you know, just for little. I like watching things about you know, different music theory things, and you know, I like to I definitely like to sometimes like watch what people are using in certain like live videos and try and like, you know, replicate that kind of vibe.
Yeah, for sure, man. So not only are you're probably learning on there, and you're probably also being entertained on there too by watching things like Rhythm Roulette with Beat Butcha.
I mean, I was talking more about like, you know, like I don't know, like they have, you know, they have like tutorials on like certain music, gospel music theory things that I like to watch and stuff. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Those kind of things, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I definitely know exactly what you're talking about. I like to watch tutorials on how to play certain songs and then just try to get ideas from there. And
yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I also like watching people play live. Like, say, like, you know, watching. There's a there's a Bootsy show from Houston in the 70s. You know, I just like watching. You know, I like watching. I've seen what they're playing.
Nice.
I like watching what they, you know, like watching what chords they're playing and shit. And you know,
right, for sure,
like messing around. You know, like just having a look. You know, like getting inspiration from that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? In terms of apps and stuff, yeah, I mean, I definitely have used a few chord apps. There was one that was out for a minute, but it doesn't work with the new iPad update. It's called Genius Songwriter, and you can basically harmonize to you set the scale, and then you set your melody notes, and you can basically harmonize. There's a really like nice jazzy kind of gospel harmonization that you can get there, and it will just give you like, you know, give you different options of what chords, you know, you can put in there.
That's dope. What's it called again?
It's called Genius Songwriter.
Okay, Genius Songwriter. I'm gonna have to check that out. You said it doesn't really work with the new update, but I'm still gonna check it out and see if I'll be able to get it or not. So
yeah. I mean, you can. I think you can export MIDI on it too.
Oh, really dope! Wow.
Yeah.
That's
obviously.
Dope.
I mean, the way that it's set out is you have to kind of be able to read notes a little bit, but you can feel your way around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what's up, man. Well, actually, a question that I have for you that I didn't ask earlier was, when did you start learning how to play instruments?
I mean, I played the guitar when I was younger, from like about 12. I mean, I've never been the greatest guitarist. But you know, I played the guitar for a bit, and also played the drums and stuff a little bit as well.
Dope.
But like really getting into playing like keys and stuff, 2005 I think, or 2006. I first bought a MC202, which was it's the pad version of the SH101.
Okay.
It's a mono synth, but basically, I sort of like, I used to roll with this guy called DJ Cam, who was in a crew called Beyond There back in the day.
Okay.
And they produced for a bunch of like underground New York guys, but they were from the UK. And he basically was making beats using an MPC, and he was using the MC202 for his bass. And I was really impressed by it, so I bought it, and that kind of started me off playing. After a Microkorg, and then after that I bought a Phantom XR, and then a Juno 60, and you know, and then you know that's where my kind of love for synths came. You know, I bought, after that I kind of went crazy. I bought like a upright piano at one point, the Farfisa. Yeah, but you know, a bunch of stuff.
Okay, nice, man. Well, that
and obviously when I started playing keys again, that made me pick up the guitar again as well.
Nice. Okay, yeah. That MC202, you said it's pads, right?
Yeah.
Pads in the form of keys, it looks like. I mean, I'm looking at a picture right now.
Yeah, it's mini, like tiny, like little. Like pads that are like keys.
Because at first I was like, oh, okay, it's a little keyboard, but then now I'm seeing the pads on there. Okay. Yeah. That's what's up, man.
It is a keyboard. It is basically a keyboard, but it's it's put together almost like a sequencer. You know what I mean? But it's cool though, because like I don't know. You know, I'm sure some of your listeners will be familiar with some of my drum kits. There was a drum kit that I did called Messages from Outer Space, and all of it was all basically like kind of space noises and effects. I used that machine to and the space echo to basically make all those sounds.
Nice, man.
So it only had one sound in it. It was very again, it's that limitations thing, you know what I mean? Like you know, because there's only one sound, you know, I figured out how to make it sound 1,000 different ways.
That's dope.
You know, I could do different things with it. You know, I found out things that you're not meant to really do with it. I find out how to do them with it, you know? So
that's dope right there, man. All right. Well, man, well, I want to know, man, what was your first major placement? And if you can just describe the feeling, how you felt, you know, and just tell us the story behind it.
I mean, I don't know. It depends what you're calling a placement. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess your first placement that you were really proud of. You know, I mean, I guess like Timothy down the street wouldn't count, but you know, I mean,
yeah, there's different levels of it. You know,
right.
I definitely was proud of Sean Price. Let me tell you, that had a video with him with the stroller. Mm-hmm. That was in 2009, I believe, or 2010.
Okay.
That was probably maybe the first one that I was really, really proud of that I'd done.
Sure.
But I don't know whether I'd call that a placement though. You know what I mean?
Right.
I guess the first placement in terms of like being on a major label was the Jadakiss record with Neo and Nipsey Hussle.
Nice.
The new.
Damn.
But you know, obviously I had like records and before that I'd already worked with like Mob, but it's predominantly stuff that was independent. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
Right.
I don't know if you. I don't know what people call placements these days. You know what I mean?
Right, no, yeah, that's a hella subjective question, you know, and so yeah. All right, man. Well, what's your favorite song that you ever produced?
I mean, I don't really have one specific song. I mean, I like in terms of stuff that's come out, maybe like either like Mobb Deep Timeless or I like Jest Australian a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe either of those two. But I don't know, man. Like I still feel like it's the same sort of thing as before. Like, what's your greatest achievement? Right. I feel like my greatest tracks are yet to come. I'm definitely making music now that I'm way more happy with.
That we just haven't heard.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot coming, man.
Nice.
Especially now that I've moved abroad, now that I'm over there, it's easier. It's easier for me to connect with people constantly, you know.
Yeah. So
that's
dope, man. We'll be on the lookout, man. And Beat Grinders, I'll definitely provide a link to both of those songs on the website, so you guys definitely check those out. So are both those available?
Yeah, neither of them are my biggest songs, but
right. Well, sometimes that's how it goes, though.
Yeah.
Your favorite doesn't have to be the biggest.
No.
Okay, man. Well, what's an album besides one that you worked on that you recommend every producer listen to, and why? You know, maybe it might be just to train someone's ears, or maybe just for listening pleasure. But what do you think every producer should listen to?
God, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to really tell anybody to listen to. You know, I feel like it depends what the ultimate aim is. You know what I mean? There's albums that I feel like people should know about if you're into hip hop. There's like say like AT Aliens or Infamous Mobb Deep or Only Built for Cuban Links or you know what I mean. But I don't know. It's like shit. There's so many. There's so many answers to that question. I can't really think of any.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, it wasn't even just limited to hip hop either. You know, it could be, in any album. But I mean, I like you said, I think all three of those albums are definitely albums that, if you're making hip hop music, you definitely should be listening to. So. I mean, all of those changed the culture, of hip hop. Yeah. So,
I mean, I'm influenced by a lot of different stuff. I mean, I like a lot of the older records, like a lot of older stuff. Like I'm really into Brazilian music. I mean, I like gospel music. I like a lot of old soul. Nice. But like specific albums, I mean, there's just so many specific albums that I, want people to listen to,
I feel that.
I can't really think.
Okay, man. Well, I mean, I think you gave us a great start. Definitely those three albums that you named, and then also, you said Brazilian and gospel, You know, obviously, you know, it's influencing you in a major way. So, you know, maybe the beat grinders out there listening and myself, you know, will listen to expand.
You know, there's people that you can look out for. I mean, you know, Low Borge, Tim Meyer, you know, Jao Donato. You know, there's a ton of people like that.
Nice.
You know, they're all. Yeah, some of them are. You know, they're people will be up on certain ones. You know, Arthur Varakai, obviously, people are up on that. Mm-hmm. He has the one album that's been sampled to death, but obviously very rare and fucking dope.
Nice.
Yeah, man. There's a lot.
Well, that's more than a great start right there, man. So thank you for that, man. Thank you for blessing us with some of those artists. A lot of those I've never even heard of. So, you know, I got some homework to do. I got research to do, man.
Well, you know how it is, man. Like nowadays, like I'm always looking for, you know, I'm still digging, but I'm not really digging for like the sample. I'm digging for stuff to listen to, you know, for stuff to inspire me. Mm-hmm. And definitely Brazilian music and gospel music has a lot of stuff. You know, there's you know, there's still like soul records that come out. Like there's still there's modern music that comes out that's great to me too, man. That King Gizzard and Lizard Wizards, that they're fucking sick. They're a band from Australia. They do like psych rock. Let me think, who else? Krangbin. That's a group they're from Texas. They make like, they're also kind of on the psych rock kind of vibe too. Like real back. Kind of sounds like it's been made in a desert.
Okay. Nice,
like,
man.
It's something from a Quentin Tarantino film a little bit.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Well, I mean, I'm definitely doing the same thing. I start off as a sample-based producer and moving into, you know, creating my own music, and that's what I do. I dig just to get ideas and also just to hear what sound well together, you know. And so, you know, that's definitely what I'm doing.
I mean, you know, like those old textures, you can't beat them really. I mean, you know, there's loads of like modern music that's dope too, though. I mean, I'm not specifically just digging for old music. I mean, I enjoy a lot of people's music now too, like, you know, James Blake and kind of people as well. So
dope, man.
You know?
Well, thank you, man. Thank you for name dropping, man. I mean, like I said, you gave us some homework to do, so really appreciate that, man. All right, man. Well, I want to know, you know, I'm giving you the responsibility, man, of changing the faces up on Mount Rushmore. And I want you to put 4 producers that you feel like should be up on Mount Rushmore. What producers are going up there?
Fucking hell, I don't know. Barry White.
Okay.
Dilla. Put RZA up there.
Nice.
Put Preem.
Nice.
Quincy Jones.
I think that's 4,
How many
man.
faces are on Mount Rushmore?
4. But I mean, you gave us 5. I mean, I'm sure we could put an extra one up there. All those people deserve to be up there.
Man, I can't even think. You know,
right? I mean,
so many good people.
We've heard Barry White once before, you know, but I mean, I love the fact that you threw him up there because a lot of people don't look at him as a producer, just as an artist, you know. So
he produced a lot of great things. And the same with Roy Ayers produced a bunch of great shit too.
Right. Yep.
You see Roy Ayers as being like, you know, just the artist, but you know, he produced a bunch of stuff, really good stuff.
That's good.
I'm trying to think who else, man. There's a ton of people.
Yeah, there is. There's so many people that deserve to be up on there, man. But nobody's gonna argue with those 5 that you just gave, man.
Even Smokey Robinson produced some really great shit too, man.
Yeah, and wrote a lot of great shit.
Yep, wrote a lot of great shit too. Yeah.
You're right, man.
Same with Barry though. He wrote a lot of great shit too.
Who's that?
Barry.
Oh yeah, he did. No doubt, man. Okay, man. Well, I want to know, man. We're staying in this imaginative mode, man. I want to know, what's the perfect studio session to you? If you had to pick, one artist, one producer to produce with yourself, one engineer, and one random person, who are those 4 people going to be in the studio with you?
Shit. Andre 3000.
Ooh, okay.
Thundercat.
Oh shit, okay.
Mike Dean.
Okay.
And David Hasselhoff.
Wow, okay. This is a random ass studio session, but man, it's
gonna be funky. It's gonna be perfect.
Funky. Yes, it would be funky. And
David Hasselhoff would be the wild card.
For sure.
We can get him eating a burger in there.
Yeah. Oh man. But you know what? David Hasselhoff is an accomplished artist himself, so he can contribute to that session, right?
Yeah. I mean, as long as we can do a video like that one video where he's like flying through the sky,
right?
Then we're winning. I'm pretty sure we're winning that.
Yeah, man. I think you're winning with you and Thundercat together with Andre 3000 and Mike Dean. That sounds like. Oh man, I hope that happens. I really do. I pray to God that shit happens, man.
Man, I hope so too. Thundercat and they're all dope.
They are all dope, man. Okay, yeah. Nice. Thundercat is from LA, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Have you run into him at all, being in LA?
Not yet. I actually met his brother the other day. His younger brother.
Okay.
But, yeah, and he knows a bunch of people I know, but I haven't met him yet. No.
Right. Okay.
But he's immensely talented, man. I'd love to do some stuff with him.
Yeah.
He's actually the reason my skills on the guitar and bass and nothing like his. Mm-hmm. But he was the reason why I bought a 6-string bass not too long ago, man. Ooh. Like my playing style on that is heavily influenced by him.
That's dope.
Like I said, nowhere near as good, but
not yet at least.
But he inspired me to get that because I was like, wow, it's just the sound of playing chords on the bass and just the lush layers of like different things that you can do with a 6-string. It's just crazy.
Right. Nice, man. Nice. Okay, well, man, I mean, I'm going way off course here, man, but I gotta ask you, man, because I've asked Samurai this, who is an accomplished
Samurai,
yeah.
the guy that makes the samples.
Yep.
Yeah, we got some stuff together.
Wow, that's dope. He's actually from my hometown, from here in Portland. So.
Oh, that's dope. So I think Trox is from up there too, right?
Yep, Trox is from Portland too. Yep.
That's my guy, man. That's my dude.
Dope, man. Shout out both those dudes, man. Both of them are amazing artists, amazing producers, and amazing people as well. So shout out both those dudes.
Absolutely, yeah, man. Yeah, absolute beasts.
Man, I gotta ask you though, man, because I did ask Samurai this. As far as bass and guitars, what do you recommend that someone starting out, someone like maybe myself that wants to learn both the bass and guitar, what do you recommend that they start off with?
I mean, what do you mean? What kind of guitar, or what do you mean?
I mean, well, for example, like Samurai said, someone shouldn't start off with the lowest as far as like price goes, or like an introductory, just because you would be limited. Maybe you should start off with the next best thing. You don't want to get anything too expensive, but you don't want to get anything too cheap either.
I mean, I learned when I was younger. I learned on an extremely cheap guitar. Mm-hmm. It's a Strat kind of rip-off.
Right.
But I mean, I don't. From my opinion, I would say just get something cheapish. You know what I'm saying? Like, mm-hmm. I don't know, spend $150 or $200 on something,
mm-hmm.
and like. Best way to learn, I feel like, to get your feeling for playing is to try and play along with your favorite songs, and then try and do a bit of just try a solo along to things,
right?
And then try and do like maybe use YouTube a little bit to learn a bit about like scales on there, and to get get used to where you put your fingers or whatever.
Dope. That's great advice, man. Well, thank you for that, man.
No problems, bro.
All right, man. Well, I want to know if you woke up and you lost everything that you had. So all the connections that you worked for, all the equipment that you have, all of the all the music equipment and everything, man. Everything except for your knowledge that you've gained and $1,000. What would you do in the next week to restart your career?
I mean, probably.
It's a way out far question, man.
I'll probably take that 1,000, buy a second-hand computer and start trying to make music.
Nice. That's
I get a bunch of cracked software. You know what I'm saying?
Dope. Yeah, that's an answer that's used on here a lot, man. The reason why I asked this is because there's some producers that do lose everything due to theft or due to equipment malfunctioning or whatever, and then there's some people out there that want to get into music production but just don't know how, and they may have $1,000 or less, you know. So
I mean, you don't need anything. I mean, like I just told you what I started making music on.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That computer at the time was already shitty, so
right.
I believe it costs the equivalent of about $300 or $400 at the time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was, and at the time it was shit for then. So like, you don't need anything too crazy. It's more about the person that's behind it than
right.
In terms of like if you're talking about like music itself,
mm-hmm.
it's about like the person.
Yep.
If you're talking about, when we're talking about being dope.
Right.
If we're talking about like, network and all that kind of thing, you can do that without any money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So really, the most important thing is just to try and make some good music, and then from there, try and network and use that, because good music is going to be the thing that opens the doors with the networking. You know what I mean?
Right. That's true.
Be the greatest person ever, but if your beats suck, it ain't gonna work for you. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Or you might be able to finesse a little bit, but mm-hmm. you ain't gonna get. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how far you're gonna be able to get
with whack beats.
Exactly. But then on the same side, the other thing is also like, I know people that have got great beats, but their personality sucks. So
right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, yeah. I just saw a video of Illmind today on Instagram where he was saying, like, people didn't want to fuck with him because he was a nice guy. People didn't want to fuck with him because he was a Filipino kid from Jersey. People wanted to fuck with him because the music was good, and that's what it all boils down to, pretty much. So. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, that's that's open. That's what opens the doors. I mean, obviously, once the doors are open a little bit, like the way that you are as a person, it helps. It helps a lot. You know what I mean? I know. Mm-hmm. I mean, who am I to really speak on who I am myself? But I'm happy to be a fucking social person. You know what I'm saying? Like, mm-hmm. I like try to be the nicest person I could be. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And I think that's important as well. But like you said though, like I said, without good beats, like we ain't really gonna get anywhere in it.
Right.
At least you gotta have an element of skill there. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yep. Yeah, man. Well, that's what's up, man. Well, it takes just more than just the one. You gotta be skilled and socializing and beats as well. So that's what's up, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, like it definitely starts with the music. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, and I think a lot. It's like what I was trying to say earlier about people thinking they can finesse or like take shortcuts. You buy the Beat Butcha drum kits, you pay to have Illmind listen to your beats and give you critique, and then suddenly mm-hmm. you're on. Nah, that's not how it works, bro.
Right,
like,
yeah.
You still gotta put the hours in a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
yep. So true, man. So true.
You know what I mean? Like,
but those things do help. But yeah, it's not gonna get you there.
No, they help. They absolutely mm-hmm. do help. Like, one thing that I didn't have that the kids have now, which absolutely has made the standards higher, is the fact that there's all these good drum kits out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
mm-hmm.
fucking whether it's Jake or me or fucking Illmind or whoever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right, like, man.
We those like that's part of the skill actually in a weird. Like.
Yeah.
It making sounds like, but now you've got sounds. So
right.
that's like one of the things eliminated. You know what I mean?
Yep, man. And shout out to Al Qaeda You know, for definitely for opening that up, man. He was the first that I remember of, you know, releasing other people's drum kits.
I mean,
like yourself.
I don't know if he was the first guy to do drum kits, but he was definitely the first guy to really do the go hard with the celebrity thing, the celebrity kit type thing. And of course, he's become a massive staple in the industry. You know, like the Drum Broker is pretty much the number one place, you know.
Yep.
That for this shit. I mean, obviously you've got other things like Splice and stuff like that, which and Splice is huge too.
Yeah, it is.
But let's be real, like that. Really, it comes a lot of those things come from the Drum Broker originally. Yep. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Not to say that there wasn't sites like that before, but you know. They changed things.
Yep, definitely a game changer, man. And especially with you, you know, being up on there and having, you know, a lot of your kits be exclusively available on there.
I'll definitely put my hands up and say that my affiliation with Drum Broker has definitely also opened up things. You know, my drum kits being on there has definitely opened up doors for me with other producers and other artists that maybe I wouldn't have previously worked with, just off of the back of the kits being best-selling kits and doing well on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope. All right, man. Well, you know, I consider you a living legend. You know, right now, just some of the.
Not yet, bro. Not yet.
Okay, not yet, but you know, you're definitely on your way there, man. You're doing some pretty great things. You know, that's things that we've heard, and it sounds like you're doing great things that we haven't heard yet. You know, but you know, so I want to know, man, what do you want your legacy to be? You know, when it's all said and done. You know, and what does legacy mean to you?
Well, I'm trying to stay. You know, to be honest with you, I'm trying to stay evolving, and as I get older, I'm kind of trying to go into the. I'm trying to get into the realms of your Barry Whites and your Quincy's and them things.
Nice.
I'm nowhere near that yet. I haven't done any sort of you know, these guys were already making these kind of, you know, the moves that they were making at my age, but you know, I see myself going more into the exec production, you know, like bringing artists under my wing, you know, nice. Moving into the songwriting side of things, and also on the you know, like bodies of work, you know what I mean? Right. And outside of the genre too, you know, not just hip hop, you know, like cool. I'm trying, you know, I what legacy means to me is obviously just leaving behind, making a mark, and in the genre, you know what I mean, being part of it, being able to look at like the zeitgeist of music and seeing that you've made a contribution to that, you know what I mean? Because there's definitely people, when you look through the ages, you know what I mean, that they've made an indelible mark, you know what I mean? Like that you can't erase them. They were part of things. You might have not been the face of anything, but their names keep coming out they're on the back of loads of albums and right. It's kind of what I want to be. I mean, I don't really like. I'm not somebody who really likes fame and that kind of stuff, but I definitely, you know, I enjoy infamy. You know what I mean?
For sure, man. Well, I definitely see you being on your way there, man. I mean, just some of the stuff that, you know, some of the moves that you've been making, you know, that we've seen here recently, you know, just like kind of with the Rick Ross placement, and you know, just it seems like you're definitely on your way there, man. So we can't wait to check your journey out, man, and ride along with you, man, and watch your legacy, you know, happen. So
there's definitely a lot more coming, you know what I mean? I feel like things up to now, you know, like I don't know, man, like I'm not downplaying anything that I've done, but I definitely don't feel like I'm quite done yet, you know what I'm saying? I definitely see myself going a lot further, you know what I mean? Grammys, that's what I'm trying to do, you know what I mean? Whether it works, who knows, but you know, I think if I work hard enough, it will work.
Hell yeah, that's for sure, man. That's
I
sure.
I see dudes like my dudes like Cardo and Ricky Riera and even Cardiac, even like I see them guys like getting Grammys and shit, and they've got their multiple plaque, like even my boy Frank Dukes, man, he's smashing it, you know what I mean? And that's a dude I used to hang out with all the time back in the day, man. So
I can believe it.
Yeah, it's crazy to see him, like, it's not crazy
on top of the game
because I knew it was coming,
right?
But it's just it's at the same time, it's like, to see somebody skyrocket so high, it's dope, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think he's the most underrated, not even underrated, but most underappreciated. I don't know how to state it, but I mean, he's like, he's all over the place, and not too many people know his name.
Billboard music producers, right?
Yep,
that's
right.
It's last year, man. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is.
That's amazing.
Yes, it is, man. So, I mean, I would have never expected, because just coming from where he came from, I mean, I've watched him in beat battles before back in the day, and he just had a kind of underground boom bap sound, and now he's making stuff for everyone.
The thing about him is he's a smart guy, man, and I always could see his like brain for dismantling things and figuring out how things worked was very sharp.
Right.
He's always had that composer's brain, and I mean that even on a social level, figuring out how you get to certain people. And he was always, we was always talking about like schemes of how we get to certain people and all this. So nice. He's like, I fuck with him, man. He's, and his knowledge of music is so deep as well. Like, he's another guy that listens to all of that kind of same kind of stuff I was talking about. In fact, last time I bumped into him was at a record fair. We were talking about.
Wow, that's dope.
Yeah.
Nice, man. All right, man. Well, I want to know, man, what's the greatest advice that you've ever received coming up in this game? I know that you've gotten a lot of advice as many years as you've been in the game, but and also what advice would you have for all the beat grinders listening today?
Shit. I mean, greatest advice. I don't know whether I got one single piece of great advice, but I just think it's important for people to look past the smoke in the mirrors, man. Like what I said at the beginning, like there are no shortcuts, man. And there is no such thing as somebody like discovering you and putting you on. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't work like that. You have to work. You work to get a rep for people to help you. You know what I mean? So what's my best advice? Shit, I don't know. Just go and do. Stop thinking so much and just go and do it.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, I mean, that just seems like the overall theme of this. Not the overall theme, but that's come up many times. Don't overthink. Don't overthink. You've said that so many times.
Of course, but it's also I think it's like I watch a lot of because I get questions on Instagram or like Twitter or whatever, and people are like, "Yo, have you got advice for me? You listen to my beats or whatever." Like, I've got nothing against like people saying that kind of stuff, but obviously it's not very realistic. Like hitting somebody up that you fuck with that you don't really know and asking them to listen to your beats, like it's just also not going to help you really. Right. You know what I mean? Like you're better off like trying to like figure out whether your shit is dope by playing it to people around you. Right. And then when shit is dope, then trying to meet the people, trying to befriend those people that you think could help you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like try to build relationships, not just like, yo, I've got beats, listen to my beats. I mean, great. Right. What if you've got great beats, then what? Like, good.
Yeah,
good for
get it out.
Man. But,
put
like,
it out.
exactly. And don't be scared to fail. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone falls a lot. You know what I mean? Like, even if you look at, like, for instance, I'm sure any producers that you talk to, still has moments where, like, you know, they do something and it doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's all about taking those risks and being able to, you know, like I took a huge risk coming out to coming out to the States. You know what I mean? Like, but it's not gonna. It wasn't, you know, if majority of my work is in the States, then it makes sense for me to come out here. You know, it's like it's a huge ball ache and very expensive to move. It costs a lot of money to get the right paperwork to move. It's like there's some bureaucracy involved. You know what I mean? But it's worth it. I'm saying, like, if I didn't make that if I didn't make that move, like, I wouldn't be able to do some of the stuff that I'm doing right now, which is sound very vague about, but who knows? Like, maybe in a year's time, maybe people will know what I'm talking about.
Man. We'll definitely watch your moves, man. But, you know, I mean, you went through a lot of shit to get to where you are. I mean, obviously, you just said that, but I mean, there were a lot of barriers there, you know, and just, you know, there's a lot of people listening now, beat grinders and myself, that don't have as many barriers as you had, you know, and so.
In the end of the day, man, it's about determination and hard work, man. It's like, you know, like you just said, like, when I started doing this, I'm sure it's harder. There's people that have had it harder. I'm not, you know, knocking that, but you know, when I first started thinking about doing stuff with Americans, like, there was a overall attitude in terms of, like, it was closed off. There weren't nobody else doing stuff from Europe really in America. You know what I mean? And if it was like, you know, somebody that had something to do with show promoters, or, you know, I don't know, like somebody who was already kind of popping in their own country. I was popping on the underground, but not really. I wasn't really that well known. I was kind of like had a kind of a name, but not. So and you know, me, obviously as a European, then coming to like New York a lot, you know, and being around a lot of dudes who probably haven't ever been around anybody from Europe before, assuming that you're you're going to be some kind of weirdo or something. I mean, I am a bit, but that's not because I'm European. That's because I'm just weirdo. But, like, you know what I'm saying though, like, I used to come out there, you know, you're in the studio with all these street dudes from like Queens or like wherever, and like, or like Brooklyn, you know, I'm in Brownsville, you know, Sean Price's crib or whatever, and like dudes are looking at me crazy, like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, what is he doing here? Right. You know, but then music speaks for itself, man. You know what I mean? Like, and those are risks as well, innit? Like, you know, being in Brownsville at 4 o'clock in the morning. Right. That's the risks as well, yeah. No, but you know what I'm saying though, like, it's.
Oh yeah. Well, man. Well, that's what's up. I definitely commend you on that, man. I'm definitely learning from you and the moves that you've made, man. I just want to thank you for that, man, and thank you for this interview, man. I appreciate it. You know, we went through a lot of shit to get through this interview, so
it's all good, bro. It's all good, man. I appreciate you having me on here. Obviously, I appreciate anybody that's supporting what I'm doing, and you know, hopefully, if you know, hopefully it was an insightful interview for people, and you know, people could learn some stuff, like, even if it was just music.
Yeah. Well, man, for sure, man. Well, I learned a lot, man. You gave me a lot to go back, listen to, take notes, and I'll definitely keep this one on rotation. So, Beat Grinders, I know that you guys are going to do the same. But Beat Butcha, if there's anything that you want to let the listeners know before we get off of here, man, if you want to let them know what they should be listening to, what you want them to look out for, and how to contact you.
Yeah, there's a new kit about to drop, Dangerous Fireworks 2.
Nice.
And yeah, if you want to get in contact with me, BeatButcher_SOI. Okay. That's on Twitter or Instagram or shit. I don't know. Yeah,
when is that kit coming out?
Shit. Well, I've got to finish it off, but yeah, it's going to come out in the next couple of weeks.
Dope. Okay. Well, I'll be on the lookout for that. Beat Grinders, you guys be on the lookout too.
Yeah, it'll be on the Drum Broker.
Cool, man. Cool. Okay. Well, Beat Grinders, thank you guys for listening to another episode of Beats Grinding Life. I know that you guys definitely found this interview formative and got some value out of it. So please share it on Instagram, Insta Stories, and all the other social platforms. Tag Beat Butcha, let them know what you guys thought about this interview. Tag me, let me know what you thought about it. Also, rate and review this podcast on iTunes. It just helps the podcast grow and reach more listeners. That would definitely be appreciative. Then you guys know how it goes down. You guys have been mentored this week by Beat Butcha. So you guys consider yourselves lucky for that. Keep making beats, stay on your grind, and live life. All right, peace, y'all.
Here at Beats Grinding Life, we want to thank you for listening to another episode. We want to know, what were your biggest takeaways from this interview? Just go to beatsgrindinglife.com and leave a comment on this episode's show notes page. Also, while you are there, go subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Just click the little button that says subscribe. If you could, please leave a rating and review. Rating and reviews are the best way to show your appreciation because it helps more people find out about the podcast. So until next week's episode, keep grinding.